What's up, everybody? Welcome into Hockey Sense, brought to you by First Community. I'm Andy Strickland. Thanks for hanging out, as always, on a Friday afternoon, man. It's our Friday tradition. Broadcasting live from the Half Coast Studios. Aiden's in the house. We are in St. Louis. Listen, we do the Cam and Strick podcast. We get into a lot of different things on the Cam and Strick podcast. This is a show that I've been doing here in St. Louis for almost 30 years, if you can believe that. 25 years. Hockey Sense has been on the airwaves here in St. Louis. We brought it to a podcast. Who knows? We may end up back on radio. Stay tuned for that. There's some rumblings that are happening and some things that are in the works. So we may find, or you may find, Hockey Sense back on the radio as well. Hopefully we'll have a simulcast where it's on YouTube throughout. If we choose to go that direction and go back to radio, hopefully it's still available for you on YouTube. So tell your friends, subscribe, and appreciate all the support that we get from everybody here on Hockey Sense. Blues win again last night. I mean, that was a crazy game. I mean, so much buildup, so much hype going into the game. Everyone knew Vancouver was going to be here. You had the game circled on your calendar over the course of the last few weeks, knowing that would be a huge game. And national televised game, ESPN in St. Louis finds a way to get it done in overtime. Philip Broberg, who had a couple of chances throughout the game. I think he hit the post one time earlier in the game. Nice pass by Braden Shen, who continues to play at a high level, makes great plays off the rush. Shen does. And you just didn't know how it was going to go because the Blues were down by a goal in the third period. Vancouver came out. They scored 2 goals pretty quickly in the third, and the Blues found themselves down by a goal. And then, Tyler Tucker, of all players, I mean, he ties it up. Friend of the show, we've had Tyler Tucker on a few weeks back, and it was good to see him come through. And this guy put up points in junior. I said that several times now. And he actually put up some points in the American League, too. So, listen, it's not a complete fluke when this guy produces offense. It was a good decision to get the puck and to get the shot off quickly. It ended up going off of a Vancouver player, quick deflection, and Kevin Lankinen wasn't able to recover in time, and that tied it up for the Blues. And then it's the Holloway and Kyrou show. Listen, Tony Granato is coming on this edition of Hockey Sense, brought to you by First Community. I'm looking forward to the conversation with him because there's just so much to get into. You know, Tony obviously follows the NHL closely. Just actually had a sit down with Connor Bedard, so we'll get into that. Curious how that conversation was. But he also coached Dylan Holloway at the University of Wisconsin. Granato, obviously a legendary player at Wisconsin. Still, I think third all-time in the history of that program in goals scored. But he coached for a number of years, and he had a lot of NHL players come through there, including Luke Connon, Trent Frederick, Cole Caulfield. Let's see here. Dylan Holloway. That's why we're bringing him on the show today. Holloway's got 16 points in 14 games, and he's a +7 since the Four Nations break. I mean, this guy's been on fire, and so has Kyrou. And I get the frustration with Kyrou over the years. I kind of want to talk about it because, when you're a -50 combined in 2 consecutive seasons, there's things that you have to work on and that you're not doing right. And, his complete game certainly wasn't there. It takes time to develop that as an NHL player. I get that. But you just wondered, and a lot of people did out loud, we're wondering, like, can this guy get it together? Can you count on Jordan Kyrou at some point throughout his NHL career? And this guy has really turned it around. I mean, he's +16. He was plus again last night. He's +16 on the season. He's closing in on 30 goals. He's got north of 30 assists now on a beautiful pass to Dylan Holloway to give the Blues the lead in last night's game in the third period. Those two guys just look like, they look like NFL wide receivers just running down the field with the ball, and like nobody's going to catch them. You know those replays or those plays in football where a wide receiver takes the ball, he's just running down the field, and the only person next to him is his own teammate, and they're just looking at each other as they run down the field, knowing nobody's going to catch them. That's what Holloway and Kyrou look like right now. I mean, Kyrou was the recipient of a beautiful pass from Holloway a couple of games ago, or a couple of nights ago against Nashville, who's terrible, by the way. They lose at home again last night to Anaheim. Don't even get me started on the Nashville Predators, who the Blues play again over the weekend, then next Thursday as well. Everyone was talking about 3 games in 8 days. Can you beat the same team 3 times in 8 days? This is an absolute gift. Are you kidding me for the Blues? If they can't beat Nashville right now, I don't care if they played them 5 times in 6 days. They should win all 5 times. Nashville is an absolute pathetic hockey team right now, and they got a lot of veteran players on their team and a lot of guys who I know personally, who I like personally, and it's tough to say that. And I like Andrew Burnett, the head coach, and I like Barry Trotz, man. We've had them both on the podcast before. But for them to lose at home 4-1 to Anaheim last night, man, after getting pummeled by St. Louis at home, they don't even look like an NHL team. Are they even trying? Do the veteran guys who signed the long-term deals, do they have any pride whatsoever? We're about to find out. So, yeah, everyone acts like that's some big challenge, and I guess it is, technically, to beat the same team 3 times in 8 days in the NHL. Yeah, that is a challenge. It's not easy. But this team, Nashville, I mean, come on. Like, dude, that is an absolute blessing to play that team. And you got Chicago coming up tomorrow afternoon. So back-to-backs against Chicago and Nashville. The Blues could really put themselves in a good spot. Montreal comes to town on Tuesday. They're playing some great hockey right now. I think they got a point last night, right, against the Islanders. That was a big win for the Islanders. But Montreal still gets a point as they continue their chase to get in the Eastern Conference. But Holloway and Kyrou just have elevated each other's games to the level where are they the most important forwards on the team right now? I mean, automatically you say Robert Thomas, you say Pavel Buchnevich. I mean, you've got Jake Neighbors playing on that line, and they're playing at a high level right now too, man. They're scoring. I don't think they scored last night, but they have been scoring. Neighbors is up to 19 goals on the season. Thomas pretty much is getting a point per game, although he didn't get any points last night. You're kind of waiting for that breakout game from Robert Thomas. I think that's going to happen at some point here. And I wouldn't be surprised if it happened over the weekend. Because right now it's Holloway and Kyrou who are getting it done for the Blues. But Kyrou plus 16, man. Minus 50 combined the last 2 seasons. He's up to a plus 16. He's scoring goals. He's getting assists. He's intercepting passes in the defensive end. He's not turning pucks over. He's getting pucks in deep. He's changing at the right time. I mean, he's just playing some really good hockey right now, and you got to love to see that. And Dylan Holloway is too. Can I say something crazy? I mean, could Holloway or Kyrou play themselves into Team Canada contention for the Olympics next season? And I'm not going to sit here and say that it's likely or that it's going to happen. But if they do what they're doing now in the first half of next season, and they close out this season continuing to play at the highest level, not even just at a high level, they're playing at the highest level right now in the NHL, how could they not be on the radar? Especially with Doug Armstrong being the general manager of the Olympic team for Hockey Canada next year. I mean, they've got to be on the radar. Especially with a guy like Holloway who plays the game the right way and with his speed and his ability to score. He's kind of the entire package. Kevin Lowe just joined us on the Cam and Strick podcast. I don't want to give it away because we haven't released it yet. But obviously he's been with the Edmonton Oilers for a long time. Getting his take on the whole situation was interesting too. To get Holloway and Broberg. Everyone played well last night except for maybe Justin Falk. He didn't have a great game. He was minus 3. Made some questionable decisions. But he has been playing his best hockey since coming out of the break, pretty much like everybody else. If you look at it statistically, and I want to throw this by the people right now, because since the Four Nations break, and we're talking 14 games, since the Four Nations break. Let me get here. That can't be right. Okay. That was losses. It has Chicago Blackhawks ranked number 1. I was like, they don't have the most wins in the NHL since the Four Nations. I was in the loss category. Sorry, Blackhawk fans. But the Blues lead the NHL in wins. They're tied with the Washington Capitals for the most wins since the Four Nations break. The Blues have scored the most goals since the Four Nations break, and this is over 14 games, so it's a good sample size. 55 goals, that's one more than Washington, who, the more you dive into the Washington Capitals, you realize how incredible of a season they've had. So they've got the most goals per game and the most total goals since the Four Nations, the Blues do. In terms of goals against, they're among the leaders at 2.43 goals against since the formation. The Blues only gave up 18 shots in last night's game. And they now lead the league in shots against. They're only giving up just barely over 23 shots per game since the Four Nations break. I mean, 23.2, just ahead of the Florida Panthers. Power play is sixth best in the NHL. The PK had a struggle there against Dallas. And they've have had some games where they haven't been very good, but for the most part, they certainly have been good enough outside of a game or two. So that's where we're at right now. Kyra's leading the team in scoring. Can he get to 70 points? I don't know if he can get there or not. He's at 59 right now with 12 games to go. It's certainly doable. I don't know why it wouldn't be. But, if the Blues can get in, I don't know what I would think going into a series against the Winnipeg Jets. I mean, Winnipeg's been one of the best teams in the league all season. But the idea that the Blues would be intimidated against Winnipeg, I just don't see it that way. Winnipeg's a hell of a team. They obviously would have home ice advantage. Takes you back to 2019 where the Blues go in there and they win games 1 and 2 and they take the series in 6. But Binnington beating Hellebuck head-to-head in the championship game at the Four Nations. USA obviously won the first matchup between Team USA and Canada. So, I mean, the confidence is going to be there from Binnington. Binnington was fine last night. I didn't think he saw the puck on a couple of the goals. The one by Sherwood, I just don't think he saw the puck. It was a hell of a shot on the game-tying goal by Brock Boeser. Boeser had 2 goals in the game. I was kind of chirping him early in the game. I wanted to watch Boeser, and we didn't do the game last night like I mentioned. It was on ESPN, so I watched it in a box with a number of different people. And, going into the game, I'm like, what does Boeser do? He's just kind of a shooter. You don't notice him until you do. And that's exactly what happened in the game yesterday. I mean, he gets the puck on his stick in a shooting situation. The guy obviously knows what to do with it. It's a hell of a shot. And Binnington maybe guessed wrong a little bit on that game-tying goal with 2.7 seconds left or whatever it was. I think they changed the time. They put more time on the clock. It was just north of 3 seconds left, I think, when the puck crossed the goal line. But to go short side, I think Binnington was maybe thinking he was going to go far side, but he put it right under the bar. It was an unbelievable shot. That's a world-class shot. And it was a great cross-ice pass from Elias Pettersson, the one that makes $11.5 million, the one that turned the puck over at the end of the game in overtime before Broberg scored. I mean, if I'm Vancouver, like it's plays like that just drive me absolutely crazy. He just fumbled the puck like he looked nervous. It's almost like he got the shakes there, thinking he was about to get hit or something. I don't know what happened. But that is a major, major no-no. And to turn the puck over in that situation, he didn't have a whole lot of pressure on him. There's so much ice available in 3-on-3. He's so skilled and he's such a good skater. I mean, at the very least, he should have been able to pull up and hang on to it. Vancouver's changing. Just a bad, bad play by Pettersson. So if you look at it, it's interesting. The Blues right now sit in the 8th wildcard spot, but in reality, the Calgary Flames do. The Flames don't have as many points as St. Louis. St. Louis is up to 75. Calgary's at 73. Vancouver at 74. But in terms of games played, or St. Louis is at 77. Sorry, Vancouver 76. Calgary 75. But in terms of games played, Calgary still has 2 games in hand. Vancouver has a game in hand. And Calgary actually has the point percentage. So if the playoffs were to start right now, they had point percentage. I guess they could potentially slide in there. I don't know. They've got 2 games in hand on St. Louis. St. Louis has more points, so we'll go with that. We'll just go with the points. But you got to continue to win the games. But the Blues have a favorable schedule, man. Getting Nashville 2 of the next 4 games, and then you throw Chicago in there. Montreal is going to be a little bit of a challenge. They're a good team. They're playing with confidence right now. So I'll be interested to see how that goes. But this isn't even about calling out the haters for Jordan Kyrou, because I get it. I mean, those who have been frustrated with Kyrou over the last few years, I get it. I mean, listen, the eye test, the sample, the examples are right there in front of you. There's plenty of turnovers and bad decisions on tape for you to see. But, whenever he was struggling and he was making mistakes and getting a lot of negative attention, he was still scoring goals. I mean, the guy had 37 goals 2 years ago. He got north of 30 last year. He's looking to get to 30 consecutive goals for the third consecutive year. I mean, not everybody does that in the NHL. And now you combine 30-plus goals and 60-plus points with plus 16. You got to appreciate when guys make adjustments to their game and they have a good season. And that's exactly what he's had. I don't know if Kyrie's going to be able to follow this up year in and year out. But I'll tell you what, I mean, listen, there's no doubt that St. Louis probably looked at moving him over the last few years. They looked at moving Shen this past trade deadline. But, sometimes the best moves you make are the ones you don't make. And I think that's the case in Jordan Kyrou, man. Just let this guy be. I talked to Jim Montgomery about he and Dylan Holloway's friendship and relationship off the ice the other day and how much time they spend together in the weight room, on the ice after practice, watching video. I mean, and then they made that decision after seeing them hang out together all the time and how much time they were spending together in the weight room that they decided to put them together. It was Steve Ott's idea. Put Holloway and Kyrou together. They elevated Holloway from the third line to the second line, and this guy is just completely taken off. And I think moving on from Brandon Saad obviously created a little more space for Dylan Holloway to operate within the lineup and kind of, lock down a spot among your top six. But man, this guy is playing incredible. And listen, they're going to get Colton Parayko back too. I've said over and over that this guy is not going to require 6 weeks to come back. He's just too good of an athlete. He's too much of a freak. You just know he's a quick healer. The guy never gets hurt. Played through a pretty significant back injury a couple years ago, but he never gets hurt. And for Jim Montgomery to say it publicly and to confirm it publicly is a real positive sign. So he doesn't expect him to miss 6 weeks either. So could you potentially get Parayko back maybe on that last road trip when the Blues have some difficult games? They got to go to Colorado. I think they go to Detroit. They go to Seattle. Those won't be easy games by any means. They won't be on that last road trip. And then they finish the season at home against Utah. Utah wins last night. That was a big victory for them over Buffalo. What will that last game of the season, what will that mean? I kind of hope it means nothing and the Blues already have a spot locked up and maybe Snuggerud can sneak into that game. Maybe Dvorsky can come up and play a game. I think that would be that'd be kind of fun to see them play. But I know everyone's talking about Snuggerud, and a big shout out to Jimmy Snipes, who just got named a top 10 finalist for the Hobie Baker Award in college hockey. The selection show for the NCAA tournament is coming up on Sunday. Of course, St. Louis hosting the Frozen Four, April 10th and 12th. We'll see how far Minnesota can go and what their seeding looks like. They lost in the first round of the Big Ten tournament to Notre Dame, so they obviously need to get their game going. But if Minnesota were to lose out in the first round of the NCAA tournament, and you sign Jimmy Snuggerud, can you just put him in the lineup? I guess you could. I guess you can throw him in there. But in a game that you kind of have to win, you're going to disrupt the chemistry that you have right now? Who are you taking out? I was looking at the lineup last night. Like, who are the guys that could potentially come in and out once you get to the playoffs? Who could you see coming in? Who could you see coming out? Like, if they needed to go to a guy like Texier, would he get a playoff game? Would a guy like Joseph come out? Would a guy like Bolduc come out? Bolduc scores last night, his 13th goal. I said before he scored that I felt a Zachary Bolduc goal coming. You just kind of felt like he was due. He had hit the post the last couple of games. Gets chances all the time now playing with those guys. So I don't know if Snuggerud, if it's an automatic that you can just put him in the lineup if you're playing games that you have to win to get into the playoffs. Can you afford to do that? I don't know if you can. You can still sign him, but if you sign him, you want to see him play. That's going to be an interesting conversation between Snuggerud and his representatives and the St. Louis Blues, just based on the reality of the situation. All right, let's step aside. We got lots coming up. We've got Tony Granato coming up. We're going to talk a lot about Dylan Holloway. And then Jamal Mayers will join us later in the show, and we'll get back into the Blues and some other stuff around the NHL. First Community, proud sponsor of what we do here on Hockey Sense. It's the smart choice for a home loan at First Community. If you're in the market for a new home, if you're just thinking about it, listen, big news from First Community. You already know they're one of the largest home lenders in the area. They've always had a wide range of home loan products, from first-time buyer loans to jumbo loans, but now there's something new for every home borrower. It's the Smart Choice Home Loan. This new mortgage product has a rate of just 6.75% for all qualified borrowers, and it comes with a 30-year fixed-rate term. How nice is that? From First Community. The new mortgage product comes with that fixed rate. Like I said, it's incredible. So you don't have to think about your rate adjusting every couple of years. All you need is 10% down. So you put that 10% down payment, no private mortgage insurance. That's a big deal. No one wants to pay that PMI. No fees for the application, processing, or underwriting. Fixed rates this low are hard to find nowadays. You know that. This loan is available now to qualified borrowers. Check it out. FirstCommunity.com. This excludes existing First Community mortgages, just so you know. But if you don't have a First Community mortgage, call them up and find out what the deal is. Dirt Cheap Fun Fun, your one-stop party shop. Download that app today. Do your shopping from your phone. You don't even have to get out of your car because so many of the locations have drive-thrus. They offer curbside pickup. Don't sleep on the party goods. They've got all the great party supplies, the paper goods and all that. And the beer cooler, man. I mean, it's going to get hot soon, and I'll be hanging out in that beer cooler. They got the best selection of beer, liquor, wine, booze, everything you're looking for at Dirt Cheap Fun Fun, your one-stop party shop. Big sponsor, big supporter of the St. Louis Blues, too, over at Dirt Cheap Fun Fun, your one-stop party shop. Blue Note Roofing, you know, we had those big storms the other day. Listen, you got to call David Novak. If you had any damage to your home, roofing, gutters, siding, soffit, fascia, whatever it is, call him today. Big supporter of the show, big supporter of hockey in St. Louis, loves his Blues. I'll talk hockey with you. 314-920-5713. That's the number to reach David Novak. Again, 314-920-5713. Call David Novak today. If you suffered any damage from those tornadoes we had here in town, man, hope everybody's safe, hope everybody's okay. But if you need a new roof, you had some damage to your siding, to the gutters, call David. Let him come out and give you that free estimate and take care of you. And we appreciate the support that you give us here on Hockey Sense. Again, 314-920-5713 for Blue Note Roofing. Lordo's Diamonds. Get that special someone, something special in your life over there at Lordo's Diamonds, lordosdiamonds.com, right there in the heart of the dew. 314-432-8008, 314-432-8008. LordosDiamonds.com. Say hi to Mike and Jimmy. Let them take great care of you. You know they will. Right next to Truffles. 314 Sports Cards back on the show with us here on Hockey Sense. Of course, our boy Devin, 9460 Ala Boulevard. Can't miss it. They had the big 314 sale going on last weekend, March 14th, 314, St. Louis area code 314. You get it. But the best selection of hockey cards, baseball cards, football cards, basketball cards, soccer, golf, whatever you're looking for, they have it all over there at 314 Sports Cards. So 9460 Ala Boulevard. Talk to one of the experts there. If you have old cards sitting at your house, you want to see what the value is, let them tell you the exact valuation of any keepsake that you may have at your house. Right there in the heart of Olivet. You can't miss it. 314 Sports Cards. I'll be showing you some of the incredible items they have there at their location there in Chesterfield. I'll be showing you that coming up very soon. So follow me on Instagram. You can see the latest from 314 Sports Cards. Follow 314 Sports Cards on Instagram as well. All right, Tony Granato, former head coach of the Colorado Avalanche. Played with those great teams with the Los Angeles Kings with Gretzky and company. Coached at University of Wisconsin. The brother of Tony Granato. The brother of Tony Granato. I love all the Granatos. Tony joins me next. I'm Andy Strickland. This is Hockey Sense, brought to you by First Community. Don't go anywhere. All right, back here in Hockey Sense, brought to you by First Community. Great to have you with us as always. Tony Granato. Everyone knows the Granato name. Been coaching for a long time, played for a long time, and now he joins us here on Hockey Sense. Great to have you with us, Tony. What's going on?
Well, thank you very much. Just enjoying the playoff push. The Blues are one of the fun teams to watch right now, and kind of gearing up to get ready for that exciting playoff run that so many teams are ready to have.
All right, listen, when you have the coaching eye and you're watching NHL teams this time of year, can you truly see a difference between the teams that are really pushing right now versus the teams that aren't and who will not be making the playoffs?
Yeah, I mean, you definitely can see teams that have momentum. You definitely can see teams that have confidence and feel like they're peaking at the right time and heading into playoffs with the mojo that they need. And then playoffs start, and then it's a whole new animal. Then a team that struggled down the stretch, all of a sudden they gain a second wind. So it's so unpredictable on what may happen. But obviously right now, and I'm going to say the St. Louis Blues again, because they've been the team that since the Four Nations tournament has found a way to put it together when everyone kind of counted them out. It's too big of a leap to jump 3 or 4 teams to get back in the playoff mix. And a few weeks later, here they are. So I'm really impressed. Jimmy Montgomery, I do know as a friend, former teammate, and as a coach, he stayed with it. Even when things were a little bit cloudy there, he found ways to keep the guys motivated and focused. And because of that, they positioned themselves really, very, very strongly heading down the stretch here.
All right. So Monty, I was talking to Monty the other day, and he's downplaying it. Coming out of the Four Nations, they've been the best team in the league. They're allowing the fewest amount of shots per game. They're scoring the most goals per game. And it's been such a whirlwind for him this season. You get fired by one team, you jump onto behind the bench with a new team. You don't have much time to really, I guess, make your stamp with the team. You don't have a training camp. And I said, hey, did you use that break to almost kind of reset and reevaluate what you have, and then almost have a 2-day training camp coming out of the break before you got ready to play? Because they just look like a different team. I feel like he used that time, Tony, to really kind of implement what he wants out of this hockey team, and they've responded big time.
Oh, I think a couple things. One, I think that break was set up nicely where he addressed the team prior to the break and said, "Hey, boys, this is a good time to go rest up. When we come back, we're gonna get on a run, and this is how." I think there's some strategic planning that was done. He didn't just end that last game before break and all of a sudden, "Oh, see you guys in a couple of weeks." I think there was some strong conversations there about where the team was and where he thought that they could get to. So when they got back, they were ready to go. So lots of teams at that point that aren't in the playoffs, when they come back, they're like, okay, we're down the stretch now. We can get through this year and get to summer. And I think his focus and how he had his team really in the right frame of mind to come back and really leave it on the ice. And after so many games, maybe when you get that breath of fresh air, when you get the body to heal up for just a week or so, that meant a lot to his team. And obviously guys have come back and gone through the wall for him. I say that term I guess on teams that I see go above and beyond, when you see second and third efforts and you see the never quit mentality out of guys. And to be able to do that and sustain it in this time of season is difficult, because you're looking at a lot of teams. You'll get the Rangers. They play a great game one night, and the next night they can't get a shot on net. Yeah. So, it's a point of the year where mentally you have to be so strong, and you have to have a guy behind the bench like Jimmy that's pushing the right buttons and making the guys believe that they got more energy and more life and more fight in them. And that's what they've been able to do, is put that on the ice every night.
Yeah. And the Devils, I mean, they gave up 4 goals in the third period last night. One was an empty netter, but still, they had the lead going into the third. I mean, those are games you just can't lose this time of year when you have a lead going into the third period. But I give Calgary credit because they needed that in the worst way. I mean, it's a great race right now. I mean, how much scoreboard watching are all these teams doing, you think, Tony?
Well, they're paying attention to it. People always say, we just worry about ourselves. We don't worry about what's going on. And that's a crock. I mean, between periods, guys are, peeking at wherever they can find the scores out to find out what's going on in other buildings because, every point is going to matter. And certainly when you're in that chase and you're in that fight, you want to get in the playoffs. I mean, that's every player says it. Hey, we play this game to get an opportunity to try to win a Stanley Cup. And so there's only going to be 16 teams in there. And when you go hard for 70 games or close to 70 games now, and you're close to getting in, you need that final push and you need to find that second one, like I said, that the Blues have been able to show and put together here. And I think that's what every team that's close is thinking.
You look at the Blues right now. I mean, they're getting some unreal play by a lot of different players. And, listen, Dylan Holloway, Broberg, these guys come over from Edmonton. It's amazing that Doug Armstrong was able to pull that off. And then Edmonton would let these guys go at 22, 23 years of age. I mean, you draft them in the first round, you want to hang on to them. But, hey, they're Blues property now. And they both come up big last night. And they both are having great seasons. Holloway had that wrist injury, I think, around the time that he was with you at Wisconsin. And but this guy, he was kind of an underrated radar, kind of quiet first round selection. Goes the college route from Calgary. He tells me the only school that he looked at was Wisconsin. I mean, what kind of ceiling did you feel like he had? Like, is he doing what you thought he could do?
Well, yes, there's no question. When he had the injuries and he had a little bit of a slow start to his pro career because of that, and he was down in the minors there for a while, and it just seemed like he had trouble getting traction. But the character of who he is and how he goes about his day-to-day preparation, his attitude, and his skill. I mean, I remember when Kenny Holland drafted him, he called me and said, hey, I think we're going to take your kid tomorrow. And I said, you know what? I said, if you get him at, I think it was 14th. I said, if you get 14th, I'm going to tell you what, in 2 or 3 years, you're going to be buying me steak dinners because his kid has got everything it takes, and he's got the heart and everything else. So I'm not surprised because I know the kid really well. I'm a little surprised it took him a little bit longer, but probably because of the injury and the broken bone that he had in his hand, slowed him down. And I'll tell you this. So he breaks his bone in his hand during a game. Didn't tell anybody. Finished the game. It's done with the game. Trainers look at his hand, said, hey, we need an x-ray. And this is right before playoffs. And so they do the x-ray and they find out he's got a broken bone. Well, he wants to play the next week. He wants to put a cast and tape it up. And the doctors say, hey, you can't do it, but we can, do a surgery on you. They can put a pin in there and place it, and you might be able to play. So he does that. And sure enough, he comes back and plays and does a really good job. We lose out. And then Edmonton signed him right away. And the doctors recommended they take a week off just to rest. And the next day he's out on the ice skating and playing and shooting to try to get ready to go, when he signed with Edmonton. So he had a little bit of a setback there, but that's the kind of kid he is. He loves the game. He's fearless. He'll play through anything and do anything for his teammates. That's the most important thing that I think I remember of Dylan. It wasn't about him, thinking he had a score to help us win. He was going to do anything he could to help his teammates and make them look good during the process. So a great kid, and I'm so happy he's doing well.
Yeah, he really is a rink rat, too. I mean, he's like the last guy to get off the ice. He and Jordan Kyrou, it's interesting because Kyrou is a guy who has taken some heat the last couple of years. I think he was a combined minus 50 or something like that the last 2 seasons. He's up to a plus 16. These guys are, they look like wide receivers running down the sideline with each other. I mean, like nobody's just going to catch them. You know what I mean? Just watching these guys on their fast breaks. I mean, another 2-on-1 goal last night. I mean, they're just picking up the puck in their own end and going the length of the ice and just blowing past everybody. But they, and Monty was saying to me the other day, like, hey, listen, they spend a lot of time together in the weight room. They're constantly watching video together. Like, was he always a student of the game? Because I think he's elevated Jordan Kyrou. I really do, even though Kyrou's a little bit older. And Kyrou's probably had an influence on Holloway as well. I mean, it gets passed down from different players. You have guys like Ryan O'Reilly who are here who kind of create that culture, and it gets passed down to Shen and all these other guys. They got Jake Neighbors, who's a great young player as well, who loves the game. But they got a real good thing going here. But was he always that guy? Was he always looking to put in the extra work?
He was real young when he got here. He was 17 when he got on campus. So he was a young kid. But he was one that he was curious. So he was always looking around to find what other guys were doing, and how hard they were working to see if he could apply that to his repertoire or to put it in his routine. So he was one of those guys that, and the other thing that you could do is you could sit down with him and show him something, and he'd go, okay. And then the next day he'd be working on that and try to apply it and put it into his game. So he is a good learner. You know, you mentioned the culture part of it and O'Reilly and Shen and all that stuff passed down. That's so important. But I think, you know, when you get there as a player and you're a young, hungry player like Dylan, you said him and Kyrou have kind of, worked together and kind of helping each other get better. You know, that's what you're looking for in your young players, is to have the confidence to recognize that, hey, I'm here, but I got to supply some energy and make people around me better. And when the young guys come in, the older guys, if you do it right as a young player, you can make them feel young again. You can give them the energy, and you can make them feel like a 22-year-old kid, like it's their first game, or they're going into a big game like they haven't been before. I think that's what Dylan's been able to do, because I don't think he'll ever walk into a game and say, oh, I got another game tonight. I think he looks into every opportunity as, this is darn special. I get to go play for the St. Louis Blues tonight. If we win tonight, we're back in the playoff picture. I think that's his mentality every single night. And when he does it and people around him start to see that hunger and that energy, I think they all can draw from that.
Hey, what's it like coaching at the college level? Like, is coaching college hockey hard? I mean, the teams who are good year in and year out, you got to give those teams credit. I mean, you got the recruiting. I mean, everything that goes with it. You had a lot of great players that came through Wisconsin who have gone on to have nice pro careers so far, young pro careers, but who have had success right off the bat. How difficult is it? What are the biggest challenges that come with coaching at the NCAA level?
Well, the challenges right now is that darn portal. That transfer portal is something that I don't think is a great, healthy thing for college hockey or for the players as well. I think when you make a commitment and you go to a school, if the first year is a little bit rough, just like it is for lots of rookies in the NHL, you got to grind through it and learn how to get, through those tough times. And I think right now we're giving excuses to players. We're giving them options that, hey, if it's not good there, let's go try somewhere else. And I don't like it. And so it's very difficult to watch. Most of the times when kids enter the portal, percentage wise, the kids that go to another school probably aren't as happy as where they once were. So that part of it's challenging. The new part about Canadian junior kids being able to come over and play college hockey, that's going to be a new dynamic to it. And I think it's going to be a challenge for lots of schools to figure out how to make their programs better, but also understand that, it's an education that they're there for. So you don't want to just keep recruiting 21-year-old Canadian kids because they're going to help your program get a little better. You're trying to develop kids. We're trying to develop kids like Dylan Holloway. And I'm not taking credit for how Dylan Holloway developed as a person and as a player. That's all from his parents and his character. That really was what was important for his development. But when you're a college coach, your purpose of creating, and you mentioned a culture, an environment. It's about, you're coming here to get a great education. You're coming here to have a great opportunity to play for your university. And, most of the kids that come in there, unfortunately, they don't play and they don't get opportunities like Dylan Holloway or Cole Caulfield or Keandre Miller, Alex Turcotte, the guys that have gone on already and have established NHL careers. They go into the business world and they go into, to find jobs. And so I think from a college perspective of what college hockey is supposed to be, the education still has to remain the most important thing. And I think with all the rules that are coming into play, sometimes that gets lost.
Yeah, it almost becomes secondary. We've already seen that with the other sports, the power sports, the basketball and the football. And it's all about the portal. It's like driving college sports right now. You see NIL money coming into play with hockey. Will we ever get there? Maybe not to the level of football and basketball, but could you see the money coming into play?
It's there. I mean, it's not everywhere. It can't be at every school. I mean, there's schools that just don't have a budget to be able to support that, or the financial support from alumni. But it's there. It's a dangerous thing as well. I mean, can you imagine walking into a locker room and a guy's making $250,000 and the other guy's he's paying for his education because he's a walk-on? I mean, I just don't see the dynamics of that being able to be a healthy situation in the long run. But it's in every other sport, not every other sport, but football and basketball for sure. And so those coaches and those universities are trying to learn how to deal with that. And again, we're trying as collegiate coaches to give the kids an experience to help them, in life when they leave. And some of the things that are happening, it's becoming awful hard to keep those values in your locker room because, agents are coming in and it's somewhat of a money grab. And again, the portal thing is saying, hey, I can get you, 500,000 if you leave this school and go to another school. And so the loyalty part, the word loyalty has been forgotten. And I think that's in the long run, something that really bothers me and probably a lot of the college coaches.
Yeah. I mean, the football quarterback, they're making millions of dollars. I mean, the best players
before they throw them all.
Exactly. It's crazy. It's crazy. Hey, listen, you just sat down with Connor Bedard. How was that conversation? And how should we be evaluating Connor Bedard at this stage as he's closing into finishing his second career season in the NHL?
Yeah, first of all, I'm going to say this, and I have to keep reminding myself, he's 19 years old.
Yeah.
And if you look statistically at players that are teenagers playing in the game, him and Sidney Crosby are the only two to accomplish 40 goals and 100 whatever points. I don't know what it's just is. The only two in the history of the NHL. So that part of it, the statistic part of it, there's no worry. The panic is from fans is, well, he's not winning. And my response to that is, well, did Connor McDavid win his first 2 years? Did Sidney Crosby win his first year? Did, Michael Jordan win his first year? I mean, Steve Yzerman. I mean, there's so many great players. The reason you're drafted first overall is because the team that gets that first pick is in shambles.
Yeah.
They aren't very good. So the supporting cast for the Blackhawks, there's tons of hope because there's prospects, lots of prospects out there. A few of them are up there, Vlasic, Nazar, Spencer Knight, and a few others are in the organization right now. But the players, there's 2 or 3 in Rockford. There's 3 or 4 in college hockey. There's some junior players. There's some Russian players that are great prospects. And if they materialize and the Blackhawks do a good job of developing and growing them, then 3 or 4 years, they could be, the Colorado Avalanche for the last, how they've been the last 6 or 7. So you remember McKinnon and Duchesne and O'Reilly and Landeskog when they all went through their growing pains as young players. Well, for Connor Bedard, that's what he's going through now. So the interview and sitting down with him, his optimism, his understanding of the growing pains of being in a rebuild, really for me was a mature way of thinking about it. So I got a ton of respect for him, and this conversation that I did have with him yesterday reinforced that he is a smart kid. He is a great leader, and he understands the cards that have been dealt to him, and he's going to do the best he can to help the Blackhawks accelerate that phase of the growing pains of the rebuild.
Yeah, and he's 19, and so he still has some 19-year-old habits too, right? I mean, you just kind of listen. You bring in a guy like Connor Bedard. The bar's set so high. There's so much hype surrounding these kids before they even play an NHL game. So managing that is difficult too, because the expectations on this kid. You're right. I mean, last year he's 18. This year he's 19.
He's the third youngest player right now. And the only younger players, there's 2 younger players, Macklin Celebrini and then Levshunov, who they just called up from Rockford. So he's the third youngest player still, and he's already got 100+ games in.
I know. And but the weight of the franchise is on his shoulders, right? So it's like they expect him to be the guy to win now, or at least to not make mistakes and not play like because sometimes, listen, some games he looks like a 19-year-old. He'll make those mistakes, but some games he looks like 26-year-old seasoned pro, who's one of the best players in the world too. So I wish him the best. I hope Chicago puts the necessary pieces around him that he can they can win sooner than later, So I mean, because it's important, right? They had the right veterans around this guy too, right?
Yeah, but and again, Spencer Knight, the addition of that, the trade, that Seth Jones went out and they get a first round pick and they were able to add a goalie of the future. I know his start, he had a great first game against LA. His first few games were really good. He's had a little bit of a struggle in the last week. He played good again last night. He is the real deal. And he's 23 years old too. So I think having a few more Nazar, Vlasic, and 3 or 4 more guys in that young age group together really helps those younger guys gain confidence because they're going through it together. And when you go through something together and you got your peers as opposed to the veterans that have the children and the kids and they're at different points of their careers, sometimes it's hard, to go through that kind of in a lonely way. So I think this is really going to help Connor. I think Connor feels a lot better now that some of these young kids are starting to join the organization and kind of, it's so funny, the dynamics of a locker room though, because it's definitely different when the young kids are the better players and the ones that, you mentioned the expectations are all on his shoulders. Nick Foligno's or Patty Maroon's or Alec Martinez. It's on the young kid. And so, I think Connor is going to come out of it just fine and live up to those expectations, but it is going to take some time.
All right, last thing for you. Recruiting at the college level. What's the youngest age kid that you offered a scholarship to or that you really started talking to? Because I feel like kids, they're committing at 15 years of age. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what the rules are and whatever, but there's ways that this communication has taken place with these kids and these college programs. And it wasn't unusual a few years back for kids who are playing Bantam Major, who are 14 years of age, all of a sudden talking to college teams. So when do you start recruiting and start to really be serious about offering a kid a scholarship?
Okay, the rules have changed. So you can't offer a kid a scholarship till his junior year. But 4 or 5 years ago, when we were recruiting Dylan Holloway, we recruited Dylan at a really young age. I think he was 15. And you'll smile at this one because my relationship with Connor Bedard started when he was 14. So he was out playing in summer hockey in Vancouver, and my sister's son, Landon Ferraro, was playing in the NHL at that time, and he's skating with a bunch of pro guys. Well, this little kid kept coming on the ice with them and was skating with the pro guys. And Landon would come home to my sister Cammie and say, "Hey, this little kid's out here. He's better than all of us. This kid's 15. He's 14. This kid's 14 years old, and he's dancing around us like he's Wayne Gretzky out there." So Cammie calls me and she says, "You got to get out here and see this Connor Bedard kid. Landon's telling me how great he is." So we set up a visit at that time, and this was when you could recruit those young kids. And we had a very nice evening with Connor, and he tells me this, that if he did go to college, that Wisconsin would have been the school of his choice. And that's when we had Turcotte, DeAndre Miller, Caulfield, and Dylan Holloway. And he was mesmerized by looking at those guys. Oh my gosh, look at how good these players are. And so Connor was one of those young players that we did recruit or did, attempt to recruit to come to college. But obviously he was on a path to play major juniors.
You knew that? Did you think there was a way?
Everybody knew that. I didn't have to be a scout to know that. When you can skate on the ice with NHL guys and stand out and make plays that wows the NHL stars, you didn't have to be a good scout to see that.
But you knew he was going to go the junior route. Did you think you could convince him to come to college?
I told him, I said, listen, and same thing I told Dylan. I know the pressure on you of having to stay in Canada, being Canadian, to play in your country and whatever. I understand that. If you need another option, and if you feel education is something that your family and you think is important, we can combine both the hockey development. We've had great players, Joe Pavelski, Suter, Chelios. We've had so many guys come through our university that have gone on and had great NHL careers, that we would be honored to have you consider that. And that's how you go about recruiting. You don't tell them, hey, college is better than juniors. You say, hey, there's an option here for you that if you want to combine academics, and then you show off your facilities, you show off your alumni base, and you show off what the city of Madison has, and you hope you can, be able to land one or two of those guys. And Dylan was one of them that became a one of the players, I guess, that when you look at it as a coach, are most proud of, because he had a lot of pressure on him to stay in Canada, and even till the day he flew out, the postman was banging on his door saying, "Hey, you got someone traded for him." A junior team traded for him and made that last pitch to try to keep him to go play. And he said, "No, I'm going to college." And he got on the plane, showed up here, and I was a little nervous that he might not be there when we went to pick him up at the airport with all the pressure he was under. So I give him a lot of credit for standing true on what him and his family thought was important for his development. He gave us a great 2 years here. I thought from when he got here, I thought he would play a third year, and Kenny Holland actually thought that the third year would be good for him, because he played 1 full year before he was drafted. So he didn't get drafted till after his freshman year because he came in so young. And Kenny and his scouts recognized the last part of his sophomore year. Holy cow, this guy might be able to help us soon. And they signed him, after that season.
Yeah. We've had a lot of St. Louis kids go through Wisconsin too, from Frederick to Connon. John Ramage. We've had a bunch of guys.
Ramage, yeah. I mean, Gino Cavallini's son, Aiden, was here. And when I got here, with another great kid and great hard work player that gave a lot to our university. So, yeah, we got a really good contingency of St. Louis kids that find a way. Alex Brooks' kid right now is playing in Madison. Hopefully he'll be a Badger here soon. So we got, we got a nice connection with St. Louis.
Dexter Brooks. I don't think you'll have to convince him to go to Wisconsin, though. It may be in his blood. He's playing great in the USHL. It's great to see him get that opportunity. Are you going to be in town for the event coming up?
Of course,
Chaser's event. Yeah, coming up.
And then anybody say no to Chaser if Chaser still saying I need you to come in for an event. I remember when he was planning it last year, we were both going through treatments of our chemo or whatever we were doing. And he's going, "Hey, I need you on April." I think it was April 4th last year. I got the hat on. I don't know if it has a date on here, but anyhow, he says, "I need you to show up. We're doing a big event. We're going to bring the alumni in here, and the Blues alumni, and Garth Brooks is coming, and Dirk Bentley's coming, and we're going to get all these people. We're going to raise $1 million for Cancer Foundation." And I'm sure he's got needles in him and everything else when he's calling me this, and I'm thinking, "Geez, Chase, are you sure we can pull this off?" He said, "Yeah, just make sure you're there." And so I showed up, and again, the support of the alumni, the support of the community, the understanding of the need for having a night like that, to be able not only raise the money, but also to make the people that were going through cancer, which I was one of them, how much care and love there is for you and support to help you get through that battle. I think that's one thing that's somewhat gets neglected when people are dealing with struggles, whether it be cancer or something else. You need a team. You can't do that by yourself. And when you realize that so many people are there to give you a hug and pat you on the back and give you another push to deal with some of the struggles that you have to, really is what Kelly Chase is all about. And this night and this event that's coming up was so special last year. I'm sure it'll be the same this year. And yes, I will be coming in for that Friday night event.
All right, looking forward to it. It was a great event last year. It'll be great this year as well. So we'll see you down there for sure. And I'm glad that you're you're healthy and you look great and you're feeling good once again, Tony. So that's great news too.
Two things. One, I would have put my USA jerseys up in the back, like I said, because I'm a proud USA American player. And two, I would have dressed up a little better. Had I known you would have been so dialed up, I would have put my coat on this morning for this one.
Come on now. You're a TV star anyway, Tony.
I would not say I'm a TV star. I would not say that.
Do you want to coach again? You want to get back into coaching?
Gosh, you know what? The love of being behind a bench and being part of a team is still there. I've enjoyed the transition now of going and doing some analyst stuff and a little bit of other stuff, like you said, on the TV side of things. It keeps me in the game. It gives me opportunities to appreciate and love our game kind of from a different seat, which has been kind of fun. Now I can cheer for lots of teams. I can cheer for the Blues right now. Yeah. I never would have been able to do that. I get my Blackhawk affiliation, by doing the broadcast there. But, as an alumni of the Kings, you still cheer for Rob Blake and Luke Robitaille and Jim Hiller and my buddies that I played with that are running that organization. The Rangers got buddies. So now I can kind of just enjoy the game from a different seat. And that's been kind of fun. That Four Nation thing. I mean, I'm sure every hockey fan, even if you weren't a hockey fan, if you couldn't get attached to that competition, you'll never, ever, be able to be a sports fan, because that gave us everything that you would want in a sport and of what it's all about. So I don't know. I could talk about hockey all day if we want to keep going. So
I know, man. I know. They set the bar so high, though. Now the Olympics, everyone's going to expect fights off the draw. I don't think we'll see that, right?
No, we won't see the fights, but you'll see that
passion will be there,
level of intensity and the same level of commitment is where I'm not going to give you an inch. Like, I think that was basically what that was. We're going to draw our lines in the sand. We're going to compete as hard as we can. And whatever we got to do, we're just going to stand tall. I think both teams looked at each other in the eye and said that. And to me, I mean, I've seen other games that I could say, match that intensity and that competitiveness. But to do it in that scenario when, you get guys from all different teams, you get, people were worried that it was going to end up like an all-star game. I don't think that had anything, that was similar to an all-star game, except the lineup card when you looked at it. Because when that puck dropped, they were playing as if it was the most important game, most important shift, most important puck race battle that they've been in their lives. And that, for me, really showed off what our athletes are all about and why hockey is so special and why the hockey player is so special.
Did you recruit Matthew and Brady? Matthew had committed.
They were already committed. They were committed, so I love the kids. They're phenomenal kids. Everybody thinks they're cuckoo because of what they did.
They're the best. They're the best.
Yeah, that from Keith and Keith and the family. It's a sensational family. But what they see is an opportunity, again, they're playing for what's on here and they're playing for the other 19 guys that are on the bench every time they get on the ice. There's nothing selfish about what either of those kids do or what the dad did. Yeah. And again, that's what hockey players have the most pride in is their sacrifice and their selflessness and their competitiveness, and they're playing for one another. And that's certainly what that those two kids did, and Keith as well.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, Tony, we could talk for another hour if we wanted to. So we'll cut this off now. I'll see you when you come to St. Louis in a few weeks, man. Looking forward to that. Should be a great event.
Yeah, and prayers out there for Chaser that he continues to regain his health so he can get out there and have a great night on Thursday and Friday when we all come into town.
Yeah, no question about that. Appreciate it, Tony. We'll be in touch.
Sounds good.
Okay.
See you in a couple weeks.
Thanks a lot. You got it, man. Take care. All right, so that was Tony Granato. Great stuff from him, man. We got into so many different things. I hope you enjoyed that conversation. Brought to you by First Community. Obviously, Four Hands Brewing Company. Check out their tasting room, 1220 South 8th Street. Beautiful tasting room in Kirkwood, Chesterfield, Lambert Airport. The flagship one downtown. And get that Mango Lemonade Cam and Strick podcast hard seltzer. The best in the region. Nobody does it better than Four Hands Brewing Company. Blue Note Roofing, again, call David Novak today, 314-920-5713. Blue Note Roofing. Call David Novak today with Blue Note Roofing. If you got any damage from the tornadoes last week, hey, listen, roofing, gutter, siding, soffit fascia, whatever it is, let them come out and give you a free estimate and talk some pucks with you as well. 314-920-5713. Jamal Mayers coming up next. Don't go anywhere. Live from Orlando, Florida, we bring in Jamal Mayers. You should be doing a live read for this place that you're at because you've been pumping it up so much, but I don't even want you to do it because they're not paying for that. So
that's right.
Maybe next time you go, we can work out a deal where you're getting like a free condo or something,
That's right.
You got to talk to me, Jamal, before you plan these vacations.
I know you'll work the angle for us, so yes. I'll let you figure it out for next year.
Give me the manager's name, will you? Give me the manager's name. But it looks nice, and it's always great to get away and have a little bit of vacation time with the family. With everybody's schedule so crazy, and you got kids in college and everything. It's great for everybody to get together.
Yeah, that's the best part. Langley's spring break lined up well, so she brought one of her teammates with her who's from England. So she gets to enjoy a little bit of our spring break with us as well. It's been fantastic getting to know her. And honestly, you're right. Like, it's not lost on me. This is likely the last year we'll have everyone together. The girls are getting older and they want to do their own own thing going forward. But so I'm going to soak this up while I have it.
All right. Blues win last night over Vancouver. Everyone had that game circled, Jamal, knowing that it was going to be a big game. And does it hurt the Blues that Vancouver still got a point and they tie the game up with just over 3 seconds to go in regulation? Or can you wake up this morning being really happy that you got the 2 points?
I prefer the latter. I think that what you do is you wake up extremely happy about what the Blues were able to accomplish. I think the fact that let's rewind this a little bit, Strick. They're winning a hockey game. They pull the goalie 6-on-5. You get the exit of the defensive zone that you really wanted. There's less than 10 seconds left when Hughes had the puck at center ice. You could argue I'd like to see someone go through him there, but he makes a tremendous play, as great players do, kicks it out wide to Pettersson, and lo and behold, you've got, what's his name on the right-hand shot?
Brock
Besser on the right side all alone. He kind of disguised his shot. That's a Jeff O'Neill special, taking a little bit off of it, short side. A fantastic goal. So let's put this in perspective. Could have been deflating, could have been devastating to give that up with 2 seconds left. But the resolve they showed and the mental toughness they showed to refocus and find a way to win it in overtime, and just a tremendous play by Holloway to recognize that Bertuzzi made a mistake, in my opinion, in deciding to change. So he cut his route out quickly and created a 2-on-1 up the ice as fast as he could, and they end up scoring, and it's game over. And all around, I felt like tremendous poise and leadership to keep their focus, and great play on the 3-on-3 in overtime to recognize a bad change by the Canucks and make them pay. Broberg finishing it off.
The Blues have the most points. They lead the league in goals since coming out of the Four Nations break. And it's 14 games, right? So it's a decent sample size, but they also are giving up the fewest amount of shots per game. I mean, like, leading the league in goals, but also giving up the fewest amount of shots. I mean, so something changed, right? Coming out of that Four Nations. I mean, the coaching staff had an opportunity to kind of get back to the drawing board and reset, and whatever message they sent to the players has been received. It's been real impressive. I mean, they gave up 18 shots again last night.
Yeah, and I think that you're noticing, like, I think there's been an evolution and a shift of responsibility within the group, where you're seeing younger guys take ownership of things. And I don't know if that's something that was, it came from either the coaches or the players, a leadership group, or a combination of the two. And I think when you empower and allow these younger players to step up and take a bigger stranglehold of the team, and they spread out the responsibility amongst each other, everyone starts to take ownership in where they fit in on the bus and what seat they're taking. And I think you're seeing people really take advantage of the opportunity they're being given, playing free, but really a concerted effort in doing the right things defensively. And I think that when you have that foundation and everyone buys in, you can do some really cool things.
All right, so Colton Parayko goes down, and all was doom and gloom the day that he got hurt. People were like, okay, this is just going to kill the Blues' chances. But, I mean, you just look at the experience they have on the back end. Now, Leddy gets more experience, and he's playing his best hockey of the year. Falk struggled a little bit last night, but he's been playing much better since coming out of the break. And we all know that, Cam Fowler is, what he's meant to this team, and Broberg as a young kid. Getting the game winner last night. He's just getting a ton of chances and obviously playing great inside his own end. I look at Vancouver and I'm like, okay, if they lose Quinn Hughes, like, they're just a completely different team. There's no way they can overcome his loss. Makar maybe a little bit of a different situation because they're so good up front in Colorado, and you still have Devin Taves. But why have the Blues been able to overcome the loss of Parayko almost like it hasn't even hurt them at all? I mean, I just mentioned some of the stats that go with it.
I think because you have guys who can kind of do a lot of those things and have at some point in their career. And so it's been a group effort. You're not going to replace a guy like that does so much for you. But if every one of those guys can take on just a little bit more, they've all done it in their career, right? Doesn't matter. Those four guys that you mentioned, they've all done it at some point in their career, and they're not looking for them to each be the guy. They're just each sharing some of that load with the loss of Tarasenko, and I think they're enjoying that opportunity to show that they don't have to do it themselves. They don't have to be the guy, but if they share that responsibility, they can be successful together.
It's really impressive to watch. Who's the Blues' biggest threat? I mean, Calgary wins again last night, and they score 4 goals in the third period against the Devils. Terrible loss for the Devils, who obviously are missing Jack Hughes. And they've got 2 games in hand on St. Louis. Vancouver 1 point behind St. Louis. They have 1 game in hand on the Blues. The last game of the season for the Blues is going to be at home against Utah. You just wonder what the meaning will be for that game, because Utah wins a big game last night against Buffalo, but they're still a few points behind the pack. Who's the Blues' biggest threat in your opinion?
I think the inconsistencies of Vancouver really put them in a tough position. I think it is Calgary. I think the fact that this is a team that, has had a goaltender that's had a miraculous season, could very well win the Calder, is winning by committee. It's not, a lot of it is on that, Nazem Kadri line, but they've got other guys stepping up as well. I think they're the most likely threat if you're picking between Vancouver and Calgary. And, a lot of credit has to go to Craig Conroy and what he's been able to accomplish and acquire and build around a very young team. And I think they have a tremendous coach as well. Like, I didn't know much about their coach, but to see what he's been able to do with this group has been really impressive.
Yeah, no doubt. Can we pump Jordan Kyrie's tires a little more? I mean,
yes.
I mean, it's amazing because I feel like Holloway has elevated his game, but it's also worked vice versa. And I'm curious if you've seen players over your career, Jamal, who spend a lot of time together off the ice, in the weight room. They're on the ice working together all the time after practice. They're in watching video together. I mean, that's what you have with Kyrou and Holloway. It's almost like it's no surprise that they're getting it done together and the chemistry that they're showing on the ice. They look like wide receivers just running down the sideline like nobody's going to catch them, Jamal, on some of these fast break chances they're getting.
Yeah, I think that communication off the ice, especially for players who want to blow the zone and it kind of reminds me of Goudreau and Tkachuk when they were with Calgary, and there was just this unwritten understanding that if I had time and space and I got the puck by the half wall, just take off. And they created so many breakaways because of it. And I think, it's also the reason why I think that the Blues have been tough to play against. They've been so focused on Thomas and Kyrou. Now you're creating a dynamic where it's not just on them, and you're able to separate those two in some respects and have a different tandem. I think it really bodes well for what the Blues are going to be able to do going forward. It makes it tough for teams that are going to play against them. But you're right. At the most important, critical time, you find out the most about your team and your players. And what I'm most happy for Jordan Kyrou is that there's been so many questions about him. And what we should all celebrate and remember, regardless of what happens and if they're able to get in or not, he showed up in the last 6 weeks to 8 weeks. And when he did have a poor performance, he bounced back with a great performance. And that mental toughness, I think, is a maturity level that you're seeing in him, in his game, understanding of how he can have success, and a trust from Coach from Monty to allow him to make mistakes, to try things, but to come back with a vengeance when it doesn't work. Because I think that's all that coaches want, right? Andy, is like, you want your offensive players to play on their toes and try things. But my feeling is that when they do make mistakes or they do turn it over, how hard are you working so that the bench and the coaches can see? And that becomes a little bit more palatable is you're going to make those mistakes. You're going to turn it over. That's understandable. All great players do. But how hard are you working to get it back? And I think you're seeing that second element in his game that's given him the leash from the coaching staff, but also the respect from his teammates that he's there to work for them and do the right things both ways.
On paper right now, the next 4 games for the Blues, Chicago and Nashville back-to-back this weekend. Montreal comes to town on Tuesday, who's obviously, has a lot to play for, and they're playing their best hockey of the season right now. And then Nashville again next Thursday. I mean, you have Andrew Burnett kind of calling out the veteran players on Nashville's roster. People say, well, it's hard to beat the same team 3 times in 8 days. And I agree with you. But this Nashville team is absolutely terrible, Jamal. It's almost a gift, right, that you have to take advantage of.
You have to win these games. Those 2 games are must wins. It's tough to put those things in perspective, but you put yourself in this place like that should be the focus, right? They have to win 2 of those three games. And I would argue they have to win all 3.
Yeah, I agree with that.
That's their season, right? Then you put the pressure back on Vancouver and Calgary. You can't look past the next game. There's pride on every locker room. There's pride in every room to want to be the spoiler, division rival, and certainly guys in that room have a lot of pride. And I think the pace that the Blues have played with coming out of the break has been very difficult for teams to handle, and it's been really noticeable that I'd always thought that the Blues needed to get quicker.
Yeah.
I haven't thought that in the last 12 games. They're playing fast. They're letting the puck do the work. There's a trust from the forwards that they can leave the zone early, and sometimes you have to push the pace. And I think that there's a really nice balance that they've created to allow them to do that, and it's made them tough to face. And I think that's going to be a challenge for a team like the Preds to play with the pace that the Blues are playing with at this point.
And they have a 4th line right now. St. Louis does. Like everyone kind of knows their role. Like each line is playing to their own identity, if that makes sense. The 3rd line, Bolduc gets another goal last night with Matthew Joseph. Took him a little while, but now he's impacting games. Sundqvist. So that line is doing their thing. And then Torpchenko is just playing his best hockey of the season. Walker's doing his thing. Foxa brings that veteran presence, doesn't make mistakes. So as much focus as there is on the top 6, the bottom 6 is just as responsible for the success that they're having right now.
Yeah, I think that you're right. I think the 3rd line for me has been the key. When you can get goals from that 3rd line, it really takes a lot of the pressure off the top 2 lines, and in some respects takes the pressure off the 4th line just to focus on being an energy line. And if they chip in, then it's gravy. So for me, that key has been the production that you're seeing out of that 3rd line. It really has changed the dynamic of when you play the Blues. It's not going to be easy, and you got to be aware. And I think that Monty has a great feel for how to implement those guys and how to use them, not overuse them, but use them in the right times to maintain or recapture momentum. And I think that having people in the right seats is really important. And I think you're seeing that right now with the Blues.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, great stuff, Jamal. I appreciate it. And Tyler Tucker scoring last night is huge too.
Yeah, there you go.
Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers. Tell us about it.
Well, let me tell you about good folks over at Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers, locally operated since 1976. The largest retailer of tires and expert offers auto service, over 43 locations in town. You can get $275 savings on new Goodyear tires, plus other money saver deals on BF Goodrich, Continental, Cooper, and among others. Click on go to Dobbs.com for complete details. You know what they say? They'll get you in, up, fixed, and out the same day. Go to Dobbs.com for more.
I know you're eating good food out there in Florida, but nothing compares to you know what.
Oh, I miss it because there really isn't a good Italian. There's an Italian place, but nothing like that.
Not the same.
Nothing like Barlino. So Barlino's got 5 restaurants: Barlino South, Barlino Sauce Tradic, Chris's Pancake and Dining, Chris's at the Docket, and Barlino's Twin Oaks. We've both been there for family celebrations. Forged many lasting relationships with their customers. Their family model: cook good food, serve plenty. 50+ years in business. Only 2 places to dine: at home or at one of Barlino's family of restaurants.
Great stuff, Jamal. Enjoy the time with the family. Enjoy the sunshine. We'll see you when you get back.
We'll be back tomorrow. It's our last day. Oh, breaks my heart.
Right into spring season, right? Right into spring hockey.
That's it. Let's do it.
All right, buddy. We'll talk soon.
See you, bud.
See you, Jammer. Hockey Sense, as always, brought to you by First Community. That's small business lending. If you run a business, you know I'm talking to you right now. Are you ready to take your business to the next level? You should be. First Community offers competitive rates on commercial loans. How about that? Lines of credit, commercial credit cards designed to help your business thrive. They have a dedicated team to help you get the funding you need, so then you can get out there and seize the new opportunities. So check that out. First Community, been in business over 90 years, and they want to see your business grow right here in town, baby. So you can deal with them face to face. Firstcommunity.com. All right, it's time to get out of here. Hope you enjoyed this edition of Hockey Sense, brought to you by First Community. Our great friends over there at Blue Note Roofing. Again, David Novak, 314-920-5713. Dirt Cheap Fun Fun, your one-stop party shop. Lourdes Diamonds, everybody. Four Hands Brewing Company, all our friends over here that help us give you Hockey Sense each and every week live from the Half Coast Studios. Big weekend for the Blues. Back-to-back games, Chicago, then Nashville. What will the standings look like when we're back next Friday for another edition of Hockey Sense? It'll be interesting. Can't wait. I'm Andy Strickland, reminding you to keep your head up and your stick on the ice. For Tony Granato and Jamal Mayers, we'll do it again next weekend. Have a great weekend, St. Louis.